G'day guys, I was recently joined by Liam VSL after his absolutely magnificent results at the London Grand Tournament, winning 12 consecutive games with the Chaos Space Marines. So we break down his list, we break down every game, then we also deep dive Liam's philosophy when writing lists, how he approaches the game of 40k, and some practical advice that you can use to get better results with Chaos Space Marines or any faction for that matter. So this is a bit of a masterclass with an expert. I look forward to sharing this conversation with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it.
Blog for the Blood God.
G'day guys, I just wanted to take a sec to thank the team from the Army Painter for sponsoring this channel. Regardless of if you're a professional hobbyist or a lazy drongo like me who can't be arsed painting his army, the Army Painter range is chockers full of products that are perfect for you. Their speed paint range is a beauty and is a no-wuckers way of getting your army battle ready when you have bugger all time before your next event. Their Fanatics range is ripper for when you want to put the hard yakka into your models so they stick out like dog's balls at events. And their hobby tools are fair dinkum as good as a snag at a summer barbie. I for one was bloody stoked with their wet palette system. So if you want to step up your hobby, give them a look either at thearmypainter.com or check them out at your local hobby shop. Now let's crack on with the video. Alright, Liam, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your weekend to chat to us. You've got some recent results with the Chaos Space Marines that are absolutely fascinating, so we look forward to discussing those. But I guess the best place to start is maybe just could you give the audience a brief introduction, you know, a bit about who you are, clubs you're associated with, and any notable results that people may not know about.
So I'm Liam VSL. So I'm from Belgium. I'm the WTC team captain of Belgium, technically. And so yeah, I've been around for a bit. I won some tournament, and I guess I won LGT back to back with the CSM.
Yeah, just a casual, cheeky back-to-back LGT win, you know, nothing major. That's absolutely fantastic. I think based on that and, you know, your position within your national team, you've got a pretty strong claim to being one of the most, you know, competitive and talented 40k players out there. So I'm deeply fascinated to talk to you about, especially about your results with the Chaos Space Marines, given that that's a faction that I'm very, very passionate about myself. So is Chaos Space Marines something that you would consider yourself a bit of an expert in, or was this something that you just dabbled in for this event? Well, what's your sort of thoughts on the faction before we get into the rest of the conversation?
So when I was 12-year-old, I started playing 40k with some of my basic elementary school back in the day. And we had that one guy that had find the game that say, okay, I'm gonna play Space Marine, and now you have to pick different faction.
Yeah.
So I actually start with CSM back in the day. So Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine is my first army. So
That's
I'm always happy to
fantastic.
play them.
Yeah, awesome.
And then I've been playing around with basically all the Chaos army. So T-Sun, Death Guard, a bit of Daemon, CSM, and Eldari basically. So so I'm not like fashion. How do we say, like a main
Yes.
CSM, but I'm mainly playing 4 army, which are CSM, Death Guard, T-Sun, and Eldar, and I'm rotating around, so doing
Yeah.
a bit of event with all of them.
So yeah,
So I
Chaos,
know the
Chaos Space
faction
Marines is not really like, it's not your exclusive faction, but it's one that you've had for many years, and you seem to keep coming back to it. So that's really cool. So could you tell us maybe a little bit about the LGT that you just won, the event format, how many rounds, what the terrain was like, the missions, that sort of stuff?
So LGT is basically a 5-round main event, and then all the 5-0 at the end of the 5 rounds get to play an additional game.
Yep.
So because it's huge inside, like it's 800 players, after 5 rounds, you have around like 20 to 25 undefeated basically. So you play an extra round, then you have like 12 undefeated, and then there is like a shadow round to make a top 8, but only like the worst of the undefeated get to play that. So basically this year it was the 10 to 6 get to play the shadow round. So there were 2 more games there. So that's on the Saturday, Sunday. And then on the Monday, basically, it's a top 8, top cut, single elimination.
Yep.
So if you go the whole through, you play between 9 to 10 games. So
Yeah,
it's
and then
aggressive when
you
you
played an
play 40 games.
invitational as well. You were saying?
Yeah, because the Friday they were like kind of open, like it's invitational, so that it was 8 players from 8 different countries, and we played a 8 man single 8 man Swiss round with like 3 games basically. So it was like a good way to like practice the list a bit.
Yeah.
Because I was just finishing another event the week before, and I was not playing CSM at that event, so it was a good like chill come back to CSM to be ready for the main event. So that was cool.
So that's crazy. That's like what 12 games in a single weekend. You're a monster. How you do it?
Yeah.
So talk to us about your list. Obviously, with 12 games, I'm not going to expect too much detail on each game because that'll make it a 4 hour long conversation. So what we'll do is we'll go through your list in a bit of detail, and then we'll just do a really brief recap of the games, and then I've got a few more
Yeah.
broad questions for later that should be interesting. So did you want to maybe just run us through your list, what was in it, the thoughts behind some of those unit selections and detachment selections, etc.?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, also, I didn't mention, but we were playing UKTC for the terrain, which
Okay,
have
yep.
actually a big impact on my list design.
Yep.
So, for the one that don't know, UKTC is kind of really close in UDZ, really open in the middle. So you can like build castle, and then when you go out, you go out. And also, we are playing with the 1 inch block. Like we are not playing WTC convention, WTC rules where you can charge with the barricade rules to charge through walls. So like all of that had big impact in my list design actually.
Yep.
So I decided to go for veterans. So for like it's not one of the main detachment you see nowadays, but veteran is basically the oath detachment. Like I pick a target, I get reroll hit against it. For context.
Yep.
So my list was basically a Chaos Lord with the Warmaster gift, which give him crits 5 on to wound against my oath target. So that make his big hammer when he go in once per game he go in crazy. Then he has 5 legionnaire with him to get the reroll wound if it's on an objective. Then I have I'm playing Emperor Children technically, so I have Lucius as my warlord, fight first guys, with 5 more legionary. Then I have Fabius Bile with a big man of 10 chosen that make the unit quite tanky and have a lot of like survivability between the blank and the toughness 5. Then Huron and 5 chosen. 2 units of 5 noise for skirmish, early trading piece, etc. 2 rhino, the classic 10 cultist to sticky the backfield and maybe on turn 5 to go do something. And then 2 units of 2 oblite and 2 units of 2 predator destructor. So I think yeah, and Cypher, obviously,
Cypher, yeah.
because Cypher is pretty good.
Yep. Don't want to leave home
So
without
that,
Cypher.
yeah, exactly. So that's the overall list.
Blog for the Blood God exclusive high quality dice. Blog for the Blood God exclusive high quality dice. Blog for the Blood God exclusive high quality dice. Hi, I'm Dean Simbeck, President and CEO of Blog for the Blood God's exclusive high-quality dice warehouse and emporium. Due to a shipping error, I'm currently overstocked with Blog for the Blood God exclusive high-quality dice, and I'm passing the savings on to you! Roll 9-inch charges, pass invulnerable saves, roll high for damage, and score lots of hits. Check out the links in the description of this video to pick up your set today. It's a fascinating list. I really want to talk about. We'll get into the detachment later because, like you said, most people take either Renegade Raiders or they might take Pac-Ban Zealots or they might take Soulforged Warpack, but you don't see very many people taking that Veterans of the Long War detachment. And this is one that I'd been having conversations with a few people about how I think it's underrated and I think it actually has a lot of legs. Everyone told me they were crazy. And then you've come along and just won the LGT with it. So you've kind of validated me in a way, which I really appreciate. But
You're welcome.
yeah, so I want to talk to you a little bit later in the conversation about the stratagems and the relics and how you sort of utilize that detachment, because I think there's some really interesting stuff there. But did you want to maybe just give us a really brief recap of the games? So You don't necessarily have to go through all 12, because I doubt you even remember all 12. It's probably all blurred together in your mind as one big event. But if there were any notable games or any notable moments from games where anything interesting happened?
So I played the Invitational first, so it was already quite good player there. So I start the three first game is actually quite interesting. So I played into Blood Angel, but I managed to win that one quite easily because I have so much fight control between transport, reactive move, and fight first, and the oblitz as well that allow me really like to pick up all the little units because he was playing like a bunch of little 5-man jetpack and then 3 big units of 10 men, and the idea was to force to come out with the 10 men that I can kill quite easily with Oath after that because I can retarget Oath, so I basically kill 2 10 men in a turn and tag the last one kinda. So that was quite easily a win. That was also a cool game. Then I play against To on Purge the Foe. So that one is a bit more difficult, but on Purge the Foe I went second. So I just managed to like play the game slow. Have like going second in Paria is quite powerful. So
Yeah.
like I just managed by playing slow to win by like 15 points. Like he couldn't really rush me. I was behind terrain, and if he come too close, I could go out. So that was a good game. Then I had a really fun game on stream against Ines and his Iron Storm. So that was during the Invitational, and that one was crazy. Basically, I went out a bit too early and got almost tabled, but I had a good head and I was playing second. So I managed on like the last turn to win by 1 point with a 5 advent with an obliterator to go on a point. That was funny. Then it's the main event. I start my day one. I play 3 times Grey Knight. So that was, I will just pack up all of that together. But the matchup is quite good for me, I would say, because like his damage output is not crazy into me because between AOC, the Rhino and stuff, and Cypher fuck him a lot because if I send Cypher in the middle of him, he has to choose to like AOC, Mist and all of that, and suddenly he often cannot do everything because like often the Grey Knight you think they want to like Mist away, then Rapid Ingress, maybe Heroic, AOC, and Cypher just like no, you do one of that, that's it. So
Yeah.
that make the game a lot easier. I went first on Purge the Foe against Grey Knight, that was a bit more tricky, but like I say, I managed to kill them, like Oblit, Predator, and that kill Dread Knight really well. So that was like good for me in the end. I still managed to win even going first, but Purge against Grey Knight is always a bit tricky. Then on day two, I played Dark Angel, which my list was quite good into it because like I have a bunch of like damage one with reroll, sustain, lethal, some mortal wound here there. So even if they pop the Watcher, I can still deal with them later. So overall, it was quite favorable. The Predator are also really good into them. So I managed to win that quite easily. And like he was playing a 10-man brick of Hellblaster, where like the Oblit come handily because Dino Loss managed to like, okay, turn one I kill 8 of the Hellblaster, so it's not a problem anymore,
Yeah.
which could have been a problem in the later game. Then on round 5 I played a Jackal list, like 110 Jackal with the Prince. That was a good game. Like that list is really good because basically Angron have like a 50% chance of coming back every turn because he has like she had like 11 icon in the list. So
Yeah.
like he could just send Angron turn one, kill something and then come back.
Yeah.
So she scored the secret mission of putting Angron by home, but I had putting so much pressure and kill all the Jackal by turn 3, 4 I think, that I still managed to secure a little win there.
Yep.
Then it was the 6th round there. So I played against a really cool list. It was mono Nurgle list with like 4 grand like 4 uncle, like 3 uncle Rotigos, 40 plague bearer, and like some plague, some character and stuff. Actually, really well designed list. The list do a lot more damage that you think about, and it's like quite tricky on the OC and all of that. But basically, what happened is I managed to kill Rotigus, and that's the only one of the big 4 that I could kill. All the rest I killed like the Plague Bearer and managed to secure the win. It was also like Terraform, and because the list has no shooting, I went really aggressive, and from turn 2 I had turn 1 I terraformed already 2 objectives, so I had like a huge advantage on point, but the list actually slowly tabled me, but still managed to secure a comfortable win there. Then we are now on Monday for the top 8. So round 1 I played against Hypercrypt with like Silent King, some Doomsday Arc, the Catan Monolith, I forgot the name, but the one with the no lost and stuff like that. Really, really tricky game. We were on Purge the Foe again, so like not easy. Luckily for me, I went second, and basically everything come down to me be able to kill like a Doomsday Arc on the last turn. That was really tricky. Like it was like basically what happened. He killed everything, and then from turn 3 he was like joking around with like 2 Doomsday Arc, and I had some unit left, like 4 Oblit, the Predator and stuff, but I could not reach him. So he was like scoring kill more quite easily. But at one point he like, because we were short on time, he made a bit of a mistake on his turn 5 that meant that I could catch one of his Doomsday Arc, but I had to kill it with like the no loss, and basically Huron alone that had like a hero surviving a shooting of a Doomsday Arc. So basically I managed to kill them on the spot, like kill it like really closely, but like Oath help a bit, like and I didn't bring the no loss of the Oblit, so I shoot with no loss of the Oblit on turn 5. That was cool. So that was game 10. Then I play against Tyson. Once again, I play Tyson, so I know the matchup perfectly. And my opponent made a bit of a mistake by not rushing me on turn 1, because I had put a lot of deep strike to like, if I go second, that allow me to put the pressure on him. If I go first, sorry, so I can like do an aggressive turn 1 and know that I have all my deep strike come down. And if I was going second, I had like enough of an advantage by playing slow the game. So it's what happened, but he didn't catch that and didn't rush me, so I just played slow and managed to secure a win there. Then the final was against Brian and his Orc. That was a crazy game. So that was funny that like me with the CSM a bit weird and him with Orc in the final. That was cool. And basically the matchup was like, basically I was waiting for his WAG turn, because he was gonna do a lot of damage on the WAG, and the idea was I need to survive the WAG and then I can win. And I almost lost. Like the WAG was like, I made some mistake, he catch a bit more unit that I thought he would, and then I was a bit of the back foot, didn't do a great comeback turn from the WAG. But then like again, maybe time was short, he made a bit of a mistake so that boys could kill Fabius Bile not in the WAG, and charge me in my turn and kill like a Chosen where me behind I kill him. So I managed to kill a boys unit in his turn, which basically allowed me to win that one as well. So that was my run for LGT basically.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I was watching along at home, just looking on BCP, and looking at, like you said, the Chaos Space Marines at the top of the rankings, the Orcs at the top of the rankings. I was like, what is going on in London? Like, this isn't right. This shouldn't it be a bunch of like Thousand Suns up there? So yeah, it was really exciting, and you know, I've got a few mates that are Orc players as well, so they were rooting for the Orc player. I'm like, nah, go Liam, go. You know, I want to see the CSM win this thing. So yes, fascinating series of games there. Were there any which game of the 12 would you say was the most exciting and the most interesting, and why? What drove that?
Not that good at ranking stuff, but I would say that my third game against Ines was really fun. I had my game against the Grenade on Purge Foe that was also really challenging, really cool. Then it was really the game again on Purge against the Necron, and the game against Brian. I would say that was like the most interesting overall. Cool. Like, but like they were challenging and fun. Honestly, I could have lost those games like quite easily. I mean, maybe not the Greylight on Purge. This one was well in hand, but the three other was really come down to some dice roll and stuff like that. Like, and some mistake because of time management and stuff like that. But I could really have lost all of those three. Like, maybe that's why people think veteran are not. I felt that veteran basically was like, you could lose every game, but also try to win every game. That was a bit my thought process. So
yeah,
really felt that during those games, like I was really on the edge, but that's fine. That's 40k, I guess.
Do your objective markers ever get lost behind terrain or other models and become difficult to see? Do they ever get bumped and accidentally moved during a game? And do they ever spark arguments about distances? Well, not anymore. Introducing the Blog for the Blood God, not even remotely patented neoprene objective markers. Made from the same material as astronaut suits, or maybe military equipment, or probably neither of those things, this 2mm thick neoprene synthetic rubber is tear resistant, water resistant, and is designed to last. But that's not all. The Blog for the Blood God, not even remotely patented neoprene objective markers come in a variety of different designs and styles to suit any faction represented in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. These objective markers are a perfect gift for yourself or a friend, and are a perfect way to flex and show your opponent that not only are you a smarter, cooler, and better 40k player than them, but you also have more disposable income than they do. For the low price of $25, you'll get not one, not two, but 6 neoprene objective markers, perfectly designed for 10th edition Warhammer 40k. Follow the links in the description of this video to pick up your set today. Yeah, that's what we're there for, right? That's what makes it so exciting and fun, is the fact that at any moment it could flip one direction, then it flips back the other way, and you think you're about to lose, and your opponent slips up and makes a mistake, and then you're like, oh, I'm back in, and then that's always what makes exciting games, and it sounds like that was most of your games were like that, so would have been definitely a really satisfying event. So now I'm going to get into some questions that I think should be interesting. So when it comes to list writing, I know a lot of people have like a different philosophy about how they approach list writing and what their thought process is. Can you tell us a little bit about yours? Like, do you look at the specific player pack for the event that you're attending, look at the terrain layout, and write your list based on that? Do you write it based on particular people that you are likely to verse and what you're expecting them to be bringing? And how do you go about sort of writing a list from sort of start to finish? What are your thoughts on that?
So my thought process is a bit chaotic in a way. Like generally, like I'm gonna have an idea. Like also, like I always prefer playing my list. So for example, I would not often take a list already right, but sometimes I will take some idea here and there. But what happened here is like before the BTC, I was playing Eldari, and I was working a bit on CSM on the side because it's one of my army. I always like to have like kind of list for every faction I play, and I was not finding anything I was super happy with until I find veterans, because I was like, oh, okay, all the strats are quite okay actually. Like every strat are useful, and reactive move is a broken mechanic overall. So I was there, yeah, I can work from here. And the idea was then, so I did some lists, but didn't really play it because it was the BTC, and I was working on Eldari. So when I come back from the BTC, I knew my next big event in single was LGT. So basically, I start to work there. Like the terrain layout, like I say, give me a lot of insight of the way I should run my list, because basically, because the table are so castle in a way, like you can really like be new DZ, like do a full wall block off one opponent, so you kind of unchargeable, and like if you go second on those terrain, you can just say, okay, I'm gonna wait and win. And like going second is not a viable strategy. So I needed stuff to open the game, to force the opponent to come to play in a true game of 40k. Like we're gonna fight each other, and like stuff gonna happen where I could beat them. Like my thought process was there, because like I cannot beat someone that stay behind wall and know that he basically have the win locked up because he went second. He just has to trade back and forth on the middle, and it's fine. So really, I had to force them to either be uncomfortable and think they have to play the game, or just be able to break their castle. So that's why, like, basically, that's why I play veterans, because like the oblits are not that amazing, but suddenly when you put the reroll on them and you have a 1 CP strat to ignore cover, you can basically rely on the indirect to like kill like a chaff / middle unit. So that, like, for example, they will kill like 5 Marine, or stuff like that. So that allow me basically to be able to create gap in the castle, to charge stuff, or just to like remove that key unit that make that my opponent has to comes out. All of that give me options. So like that's why then I play Duron, because then I can always deploy the Oblate and see if I want them in deep strike or not after I see my opponent deployment. So like all of that come together really well. And like the Oblate are also quite tanky. They are good like skirmisher in the middle because they have some melee. In the detachment they can fall back and shoot. So I had quite a few options with them. So that's why I decided for the Oblate. And then like veteran also give me the reactive move when we come within 9. So like for example that allow me to straight up go in the middle and say I'm gonna put Lucius and 5 legionary on the middle objective from turn 1. And now you have a problem because either so that's mainly against melee army because they can shoot it, they will just kill him out. But against melee, I basically say, okay, you send a big unit that kill me, I can just walk back in my Rhino and you commit your big unit in the middle, so now I can kill it easily. Because I'm basically making sure I'm within 9 of my Rhino and I have like a line pattern where I can like move back in my Rhino with a reactive move if they try to charge me.
Yep.
If you send little unit, I can just stay there because I fight first. So like you send a 5-man jump back unit, I'm gonna fight first, kill you back. I have 11 OC on the objective, so you need to put 11 OC to contest me. So you will commit a lot, and that allow me to start the trading game in my favor. To like later they have less asset because I can basically stay for that. Or basically you do a really complicated plan. You can like I had the Blood Angel player decide to advance a 10-man Vanguard vet to surround Lucius behind and to charge with another 10 men to kill Lucius. I was like, okay, you did kill Lucius, but at least now I get to kill 2 of you to 10 men for that. So perfect. So like it's really like a good. It's a problem to force the opponent to start to play, which I find was quite useful. And like that was a bit the idea. Like really, I was worried about people not playing and decide to win because Paria allow you to not do anything during 4 turn and then okay I'm gonna secret mission, or okay I did some secondary, you did the same, we trade back and forth, I have the second turn advantage, I will win by 5. So like that's why really I did that.
Yeah, I really like that strategy of having a fights first unit on the center objective, and then if you know they're about to send something in small, you just let them charge you and you fight first and kill it. But if it's a big unit that you're worried about, you can just reactive move into your Rhino. And that's probably one of the biggest things for veterans of the Long War, is that reactive move. What are some of the other things in that detachment? Because like we said at the start, a lot of people tend to go with the Renegade Raiders as the sort of go-to. What are some of the things that made you decide that Veterans of the Long War was the detachment for you?
So first all that was the O3 roll as well.
Yep.
Because what I find is that CSM kind of lack of damage overall. Like if you look at Renegade Raider, you do a lot of damage if something goes on an objective. But like if your opponent decide to have like enough chaff to send the chaff and kill you, focus on killing you with the other units that are not on objective, like you will struggle to kill anything that's like a Land Raider.
Yeah.
Because like besides maybe like playing Abbey, but that's really expensive and stuff like that, you really struggle to kill any big target. But with Renegade Raider, I can always host that big target, and when I host something, it die. Because like the combination of full reroll to it and sustained lethal is so strong that you basically kill anything in the game with all of your weapon. Like you have nothing that one-shot it, but you can always set up like, okay, I'm gonna shoot with Oblate, Predator, Rhino with Fire Index, Rhino with Fire Index. There is like 5 Legionary and something that comes off and finish you up.
Yep.
Like, so like the host reroll is really important. And then basically all like the reactive move is obviously the strongest of the 6. But all the strats are quite useful because, for example, you have a 2 CP fight first against the host target. That rarely comes up, but your opponent have to think about, and like if you play against melee, you can like turn 1 host something that you know you're not gonna do anything, but at least they don't charge you because you can fight first with like a bigger unit. Like you can set up heroic with Fabius Bile to fight first, stuff like that.
Yep.
The retarget of the host, quite useful generally when you manage to kill your host in shooting. You can then retarget because basically how it works, you choose a unit within 12 of one of your character, and now you have oath again after you kill the first one. So really useful with like the lore to make it for 1 CP and fight something like you kill something in shooting, now you retarget the host, kill it in melee. Then you have like Ause, which is really good, obviously. Reactive move, like I say, and then you have two weird strats that you would think are bad because like the first one is to give Devil to your bolter, you don't give a shit, but it also allow you to fall back and advance and shoot for infantry, which is really something cool to have because basically you can always say, okay, my Oblite can technically move 4 plus d6 and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I can set like a noise unit, like advance shoot to kill a chaff unit. And then the second part is to get full, the second strat, the last one, is to get full flavor shot, which again, you cannot use it on a rubric, so it's not that good, but it also gives you ignore cover. And you can use it on anything, so having Predator with ignore cover, Oblate with ignore cover is really, really good. So that's like all the 6 strats are kind of useful in a way. So often you always have like some tools in your toolbox, which I like it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also the enhancement that you took on that Lord. He becomes an absolute monster when he's attached to Legionaries. He's going into an O of targets. He's getting reroll hits, reroll wounds, dev wounds on 5s with the big hammer doing massive damage. That guy's an absolute maniac. And that unit's actually relatively cheap because it's just a 5 Legionaries and a Lord. So it's it's relatively cheap, but it punches way above its weight. So that's another real cool thing about that detachment that I find quite interesting. What about things like accursed cultists? They're all the rage right now, but I noticed you didn't have any. Was that an intentional choice, or was it just list synergy, or what was your thoughts behind the accursed cultist?
Like I told, I don't really like. I'm a bit like I'm gonna do the thing my way. So I was there. Yeah, I'm not gonna play a curse. There were really valid, like it's not objective, it's just I didn't want to play a curse. Yeah. I don't have the model, and like it probably would have been a bit stronger, but it was fine without, and I didn't want it to, so I didn't do it. It's like purely like ego, I guess. But
yeah.
The Warhammer community suffers from some of the most prohibitively expensive essentials in the world, especially Australian content creators. Every single day, Dean wants to create content, but he can't. Suffering from old, worn-out brushes, expensive model kits, and costly software and equipment, he can't endure much longer. Just look at this dirty paint water. Would you drink this? Would you let your child? Even a small monthly donation can help provide Dean with clean paint water, basic tools for survival, and access to life-saving information and education. So please, follow the links in the description below and find out how you can sponsor a mad cunt like Dean today and end the suffering. Suffering that is cruel, unsustainable, and your fault.
No, I've got massive respect for that. There's nothing more frustrating to me than when you go to an event and there's 10 people running effectively the identical list because it won an event last weekend and then all of a sudden everybody copies it. I find that even personally, I get much better results when I'm writing a list that I wrote myself from the ground up because then I have a better understanding of what's in the list and why it's in the list as opposed to just running the same thing everybody else is doing. And then also, typically, everybody builds their lists around countering that top meta, faction. So everybody's already figured out how to beat the accursed cultists. So when you don't take them, all of that effort they're putting in is wasted. And then you have the advantage of bringing all these esoteric things like, the noise marines in rhinos and all this sort of stuff that they're not prepared for, which gives you a sort of a leg up as well. So yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And it's also just nice to have something unique and original that, you can say, well, that's now the Liam VSL CSM list. Like it's not somebody else's list. This is yours. You own it. Everybody else can copy it if they want. So there's something to be said for that, for sure.
There is nothing bad about copying a list. Like I really encourage people if like they felt they cannot do goodly, they're struggling a bit to copying. It's fine. Like it's just that like exactly like I think the meta right now is so balanced that you're more in a meta where like the best list is probably actually the list that your opponent didn't practice against. Because like you say, like Hackers, Dark Angel, Sister, all of that didn't really make the top cut because everybody was so prepared. And they are not like that much stronger than the rest of the field, right? So like if you know how to beat them, you train them, you probably gonna win against a sister that didn't really play against your weird Fox CSM list, right?
Yeah.
So voila, that
Yeah.
was a bit the thought.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, obviously, I agree that like there's nothing wrong with copying a list, like especially if you're relatively new to competitive 40k or something like that, and you're trying to find your feet. Like sometimes trying to invent something from scratch, why reinvent the wheel if there's already a list out there that's optimized that the professionals put a lot of time into developing. So obviously there is a place for that. But yeah, just on a personal level, I've got a lot of respect for the the unique creative people out there that are coming up with these lists. I always find that way more exciting. So yeah, no, that's all really good. Now, what about your in-game philosophy? So things like how do you deploy your army? How do you make those considerations? How do you sequence your moves? And how do you sort of decide when it's your go turn and when you're going to send all your units in, or whether you want to play conservative or that sort of thing?
So for the deployment, because like I said, the terrain was really static. You play the same. You have stop deploy. It varied depending of the deployment, but like the deployment was often quite similar. Like I talked about it, but Huron is quite useful because basically when I start playing, I didn't have Huron, and what I find is that often I'm putting the Oblit in deep strike, so I have like really few drop, and I cannot place my Predator in a good spot because like the only trick you need to place really like all my melee units gonna go as close as possible behind wall, so that's not that hard to deploy. The only trick is where to put like my long range shooting on that flank, and I like it having more drop to have more information to deploy my Predator on the flank. I know they will be useful and not on the wrong one. And also being able to redeploy either the Oblit in the line, because like often your opponent deployed also behind terrain, and you can see that sometimes there is like some blind spot on the line because he didn't occur for you to deploy on the line. So like you can, okay, cool, I can redeploy my Oblit on the line, move 4, shoot you with no line of sight turn 1. So that's great to do sometimes. But you can also do, okay, I deployed the Oblit, no really any good turn 1 target, I will just go back in deep strike and call it a day. So like that was really useful for deployment. And then generally like I'm a really like I mean during that event I like generally I like to rush at one point, like I'm waiting for a go turn that when I will see an opening I will go full in. But because of like Paria and like in Paria it's not that great to rush, like you are not rewarded a lot by like trying to put your opponent in a like rushing, because like especially with like GSM that are tanky but not that much, so they will, if like they can just kill you, they can come back in the end, so you need to be careful with that. So basically what I was doing is I was like waiting for a go turn while like setting stuff to force my opponent to play, like I told before. And I would say like my game plan was quite slow, and if I see an opening I was going in, but if I didn't see an opening I was not overly trying to get one, just like waiting, because like I say, sometimes I was going second and I was there. Yeah, right now I don't see a way where I lose if my opponent don't see it. And there is nothing crazy he can do because I'm anticipating a bit everything and chilling and playing like slow, solid 40k. Like a bit the bullshit of like, yeah, I count the point by doing nothing, I win. I play 40k.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, particularly when you're going second, that is how the game sort of comes out, right? It's like, okay, cool, I'm going to sit behind. They move out onto an objective, you drop out, deny them, then they have to drop out, kill you, then you drop out, deny them, and you just keep doing that, and then turn 5, you just go, broop, I take all the objectives and win. So...
And also, like, you can really, like with the reactive move, you can really sometimes go kill back and not die back, because if they go back, you go back into the transport because you set up stuff. So,
yeah.
Like, the list was quite okay at playing the non-interactive game, but also, like, he could just kill a lot in one turn. Like, I had turn when I killed, like, 35 Marine in a turn. Like, you can do a lot of damage with the list as well. So, I was not worrying getting rushed too much, which was also, like, why I took that list. So, I had the option to rush, to open situation to win even if I was going first, and I could chill if I was going second. And like also there is something to be said in like I play so much games, so that playing like the full chaotic game is a lot more like brain and time management than just like chilling and watching the game and not doing a lot. And like the game go a lot faster that way. So like being able to like some game playing chill and like rest a bit for the tournament is actually quite important in those like long events.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for WTC, I was running that 30 Terminator list, and the amount of times where I do nothing in the first 3 turns, I'd just be like, yep, put some jackals out or something, and I'd just sit there for 3 turns, and then on the 4th turn, I'd send everything in. And like you said, that because you're doing so little, it makes the fact that you're about to play 12 games back to back much easier because you're not playing those like crazy intense games back to back to back to back. So I totally understand that for sure. Um, all right, so with your list going forward, do you think you'll be making any key changes, or are you sort of waiting for the balanced data slate before you sort of consider that?
So the list, like I said, was really built for UKTC.
Yeah.
So on WTC, it felt like the list lacked a bit of a pushing option, and I'm a pusher in my team. So I would need to find a way to make the list more pushing.
Yep.
So either it's like having more Rhino stuff, maybe play some War Talon, stuff like that. I'm not sure yet. I'm basically waiting for the data slate before doing anything because we know it's coming in a few weeks at least. Like not a data slate, but a change point, a point change.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna wait and see.
What are your
But
what are your predictions for the points changes? Do you have any predictions or wish list items? What do you want to see change?
I don't really have a wish list. Like I suppose they're gonna nerf hackers. Like in CSM, if we're only hackers will probably take a hit. Do the rest will? I'm not sure. Like CSM is a bit of a weird faction. It's winning big events, but at the same time, like the win rate is not that high.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Generally, I don't try to make plan. I just see what happened and do depending of what happened. Like CSM have a lot of units, so probably we will find a way if a big like if big nerf happen. But also like yeah, CSM are okay. It felt like it's a good army. You play 40k. It doesn't seem broken. Like hackers is a bit of a annoying part right now, so they probably will get nerfed. Maybe like Predator and stuff like that will still take some point because you see them in every list.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of just sort of waiting to see because you never know whether GW is going to like be really subtle. They might be real light touches and they might change not much at all, but they also might go really dramatic and change tons of stuff. So trying to predict it, in advance, it's like trying to predict the stock market. Unless you dedicate a lot of time and resources to it, you're probably not going to do a very good job. So, what about codex releases? So obviously we've got the Chaos Space Marine Codex, but there's all the other Chaos factions out there that we're still waiting for a codex. Have you got any predictions or any wish list items there? What you'd like to see in future Chaos releases?
I mean, we know Emperor Children is coming, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool.
That's gonna be cool. But yeah, I'm waiting. Like I said, I'm really bad at predicting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm waiting like what? Tyson, Death Guard. I'm waiting for those one mainly. Like because the demon I don't really like. I always play demon like in a soup way, like having a bit of demon in my CSM.
Yeah.
So I'm really waiting for those two, see what they do. Like my main concern is right now it's a bit slow. I would like to have more new stuff to like because I play so much that when the meta is so static, it's a bit annoying for me. Because I would rather have stuff changing quite often.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, no, awesome. All right, so is there anything else that you want to sort of touch on? I think that covers most of the questions that I had prepared. But is there anything else that you want to talk about? Any advice that you have for people who are getting into Chaos Space Marines and trying to learn the faction or anything in that regard?
Oh no, I mean, my go-to for 40k generally is just play some game and you will find out. Like, my philosophy of getting better at 40k probably mainly is around playing game and talking 40k. So yeah, I would say just do that. Play 40k as an advice, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing really added.
Yeah, I agree. But my advice is not only to play a bunch of 40k, but to try to play against people that are better than you. If you just play against your mates and you're the best one in your little gaming club, you're probably not going to get that much better if you keep playing those games. Whereas if you go to a tournament, you know, and you meet the top players and then you try to get friendly with them and then you start playing games against them, that's how you really develop as a player, or at least that's what worked for me. Because there's something to be said for just getting the reps in, right? Because then you develop that understanding and you can better predict the outcome of certain interactions because you've seen them before. Whereas if you haven't seen the interactions before, like I played Great Unclean One, I'd never played against him before, and I completely underestimated how durable that thing was. You know, if I had more reps, that wouldn't have happened, you know? So that's an example of where just getting reps in, regardless of opponent, is really good. But if you play against an opponent that's significantly better than you, they'll make sure that they expose you when you don't screen properly, or they'll expose you if you overextend, and they'll show you those lessons. So, yeah, I agree. Getting games in is super important. Is there anywhere people can go to find more of your stuff? I don't know. You don't have a channel or anything like that, do you? Or what's?
No, we mainly post most of our stuff Team Belgium 40K on Facebook.
Yep.
I would say like that's one of my main go-to. I'm the captain there, and like at least like from now I'm not gonna play single until WTC probably. Like I'm just gonna play team. So like you will follow most of my stuff there if you want.
Yep, awesome. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, Team Australia and Team Belgium can get paired at the next WTC, and we'll give you a run for your money.
We'll see.
Yeah. No, awesome, mate. All right, well, thanks again for your time. I really do appreciate it, and congratulations again on the absolutely fantastic results with the Chaos Space Marine. You're an inspiration, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Alrighty.
Have a nice.
All right, cheers, mate.
Thank
you.
Cheers.
See you, mate. Alrighty guys, I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you did, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit the comments, do all that good shit. Check out blogforthebloodgod.com where you can find information about how to support the channel directly via Patreon, via joining our Discord community, or picking up some of our Ripper merchandise like the t-shirt I got here. We've got dice, we've got table mats, we've got terrain sets, we've got all kinds of goodies over on blogforthebloodgod.com. So with that being said, we're going to leave it here. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Blog for the Blood God.